You're listening to People Are Animals Too, Darn It, with your host, Mandy Evans, Executive Director of Panhandle Animal Shelter.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of People Are Animals Too, Darn It. Today, I'm super excited to have Eric Ridgway, a mental health counselor, on our show today. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mandy. It's great to be here.
I'm not reading your bio right now, so can you just tell us, who are you?
Who am I? Well, I am a multifaceted human being. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor in the small town of Sandpoint, Idaho. I'm an animal lover. I'm an activist for the world being a better place. I'm an athlete. I'm involved in my community in many different ways. I'm a person who's passionate about creating a better world.
Nice. So how long have you been working with people in the mental health realm?
For over 30 years, I've been doing this work.
So as old as I am. Just kidding. So we thought today it would be good to talk about kind of the frustrations that people have when you're trying to change somebody's mind, or you get somebody who you just can't get through to. They almost feel like you have a barrier in front of them, and see why do people come off that way? Why do people come off really defensive? And just explore this topic and see where it goes.
Great topic. In our world today, if we want people to be receptive, what will probably assist them in being more receptive to hearing a new idea is if they first feel comfortable with who they're talking to. So building relationships, building rapport is going to be key to having someone be receptive to a new idea. If they feel threatened in any way, they're less likely to be receptive.
Right.
So if we want them to listen to us, it may be a wise thing to do to listen well to them. The more they feel understood, the more likely they're willing to make the effort to understand us.
So, and that's hard because what people come with is a whole bag of emotions and experiences that you actually really don't know when you're working with somebody what's coming out of them, where that wall is framed from. So how do people? I mean, it's nice that you build relationships, but let's just say in the animal welfare world, you get somebody that comes up and you have their dog and they stray intake, and they come in hot and heavy, like they're mad, and you're doing them, it's a good deed. You have their animal safe. How does somebody kind of take that step back to work with someone?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question directly in the way you may imagine, but there's a whole science behind people being in rapport. Seeking to understand what they're desiring, they come in wanting something. And we want to become, if we can approach them with a curiosity, with an openness, with a welcoming of, how may I be of service to you? How can we help you as you're bringing an animal in, or whatever the situation is? How can we help you? So seeking to understand what it is they desire, and not assuming that we know what's going on with that person. So being open to understanding their experience. And this is the concept of empathy. Can I get where they're coming from? Because again, if I want them to be receptive to me, they're probably not going to be. If we're working in any type of field, as the professionals working in the field, we shouldn't expect the public to be more skilled than we are. We need to bring our best game to meeting the public. Right. And so we should be seeking to understand them.
And really, when that person, I'm assuming one of those tactics is to come from a place of recognizing that even though someone may be presenting themselves in a negative way, their intention. What is their intention of why? I mean, are they scared that you're not going to give them their animal back or meet them where they need to be? Are they ashamed that they're in the situation they're in? You do a lot of talk around good intentions and seeing the good intentions in people. Can you share a little bit more about what does that mean?
You're hitting on extremely important topics, in my very biased opinion. If we don't understand where another human is coming from emotionally, it's going to be really hard to develop rapport and maintain rapport. So seeking to understand humans makes a big difference in the world. And I want to throw something out for the listening, viewing audience. We can basically break down emotions into 5 basic categories. And so when a human is feeling something, it's probably in one of 5 different categories. And I want to put that out there because this is not rocket science that's impossible to get a hold of. 5 is a very limited number, and we can figure this out. And so we could ask ourselves, what is this person feeling? I'm guessing it's one of these. So I want to start with joy. People can feel joy. Now in that category is going to be happiness and gratitude and excitement and all these positive feel-good things, but that's the category of feeling joy or happiness. There's going to be sad. All humans are going to have all 5 emotions. Sad is one of them. And in sad can feel hurt, can feel lonely, but grief, but it's a feeling of sadness. There's anger. We can feel angry, frustrated, annoyed, bothered, irritated, rage, but all those words fit into that category of anger. There's fear, and that's a big one for all species because it's important for our survival. So fear is not a bad emotion, anger is not a bad emotion, sad's not a bad emotion. They're just human emotions, and we need to understand them. So understanding fear is useful. All of us feel some degree of fear when we feel threatened. All mammals do. I want to say insects do. Reptiles do. We have it wired into our brains to look for danger. So fear is why I don't cross the street without looking both ways because I don't want to be hit by a truck. Fear is our friend that helps us stay alive. The last emotion, the last category of emotions is shame. And shame is the least talked about emotion in our society, and I would say around the world it's the least talked about emotion. It also is the least well understood by the vast majority of people. So if you are working with people, understanding shame is key to creating rapport and maintaining rapport. Nobody wants, so shame is a feeling of they may not like me. They may not be happy with me. I may not be good enough. I have self-doubt. I'm worrying. So if I have a huge amount of shame, I'm worried about what other people are thinking. And I'm possibly projecting onto them that they're judging me. Because nobody wants to be judged negatively. If someone has a lot of fear, it may be, am I being judged? And so in terms of human relationships, if I'm thinking they're thinking well of me, it makes me much more at ease than if I'm thinking they're being judgmental of me.
Right.
So you touched on positive intentions, and that's a phrase that I use a lot in my work. If I want to have a good relationship with another person, I believe it will be impossible for me to do so unless I can see that this individual has a positive intention. They're trying to do something good. Now, what they're trying to do, maybe feel better about themselves, feel important, feel safe, feel secure, feel powerful, and they may be going about it in maybe not the best manner. Their method to achieve their positive intention may not be good and effective, but they have a positive intention. So if I see them as that's a bad person doing a bad thing, they're likely to feel judged and attacked by me just by my perceiving them as not having a positive intention. So I do work with people. I'm actively engaged in my community. When I interact with people, respond to people as they are having a positive intention, most likely they're not going to feel very threatened by me. So I'm approachable, they become more approachable, and we have way less defensiveness, and we're probably going to have a lot more fun. So you asked early on, who am I? What am I like? I'm a person who wants to have a lot of fun. And if I'm seeing negative in the world around me everywhere, I don't think I'm going to have as much fun.
So this kind of takes us off into another realm, but I'm when I present, I will say, what glasses are you wearing today? And I feel like I have to come up with the word. We create our own destiny, I guess, based on the glasses we have. So if we assume all people are bad, people will live up to that in our perception. If we assume people are good, it sends that message out, that rapport out, that people want to show you that they're good. But if you think so less of them or little of them, they'll meet you at that expectation.
Absolutely. In the field of psychology, Mandy, this is called confirmation bias. We have a bias that what we perceive is going to be confirmed by reality. So if I'm a pessimist and I wake up and I say bad things are going to happen today, I go out in the world and my glasses, my filters are blocking out all the good things, but I'm seeing all the bad. So I'm getting confirmation that, yep, indeed, the world is a negative place. And if I am an optimist, I wake up on the same planet that the pessimist woke up, but I'm the optimist thinking good things are going to happen in the world. My glasses, my filters see the world in a positive light, and I look for the good. Now, if we do that with individuals, I look for the positive intention in this person. I'm going to see good in them. So I've worked with people coming out of the criminal justice system who've done bad behaviors, and I look for the good in that person. Yes, I know they've done bad behaviors. They were in prison. But they're not bad people. They've just done bad behaviors. I've done bad behaviors. I think all of us have sinned in some way. We have done bad behavior in some way. So if we're all going to be condemned because we've fallen short of perfect behavior, then we're going to have a very antisocial species. And I'm interested in people enjoying life, enjoying relationships, enjoying the world that we live in. And so looking for the positive makes a big difference in how our relationships unfold with brand new people that we've never met or people that we've known for years. Are we looking for the positive? Or are we looking for the negative? And if we're looking for the negative, we're fueling our own fear. And as people's level of fear goes up and up and up, their level of joy is not going up. So we have 5 emotions. If fear's going up, joy's not usually going up too. Joy's going down. So and this is really simple, but I share this with many of the people I work with, children and adults. If I want my joy to go up, I probably can't have my fear really high. I can't have my anger really high. And I perceive that there's a lot of anger in the world when people are not understanding what others are feeling or trying to do.
Yeah.
And when we can have understanding for other people, it's much easier to have compassion.
And I think when you said rapport, it made me think of laughter and comedians. That there's a level I watched on, is it Brain Games? It's a TV show on the Disney Channel, I think. And they were testing the brainwaves of couples. And they said it was who is the most in rapport. And they had a couple that had been married for years and ones that were dating. And the one that was the most in rapport was the one that laughed the most. Mm-hmm. And because it brought them, like you say, you can't laugh and have fun and when you're super scared.
Right.
Like it's
right.
not
right.
built in us to be able
right.
to do that. So I know our team, we try to have a lot of fun.
Groups, companies, individuals, relationships that are having fun, their brain is operating at a much higher level. The higher our fear goes, the part of our brain that is involved in fear a lot is called the amygdala. And the amygdala gets all fired up and lights up. And as that's happening, the rest of our brain, to a degree, is shutting down. And so the more fear-based we are, the less brain-based we are. Brain's not working so well. I mean, we're still in the brain, but we're in the amygdala part of the brain, which is limiting our understanding of the world by being so fear-based. And it doesn't raise joy. If fear is going up, joy is going down. So groups of people that are laughing together, they're giving signals to their brain that there's no major dangers around right now because we're laughing and having fun. We're feeling safe and not threatened.
So we, right now, as far as guarded people, we'll talk a little bit about politics, but not in any political way. There are things that are happening where we have a divided country, really kind of a divided world. We're seeing that a lot. And you have people who, I know a lot of families, let's say, Thanksgiving, they come together and they want to try to convince their family members to believe what they believe. And that heightened emotion that comes from these people that you can't get through to, they aren't listening. And I look at so many of the things that I don't agree with that are happening, and I see people who are making decisions because they're scared or fearful. And it's hard to get in. Like, how do you, other than building a rapport, because this could be a mom and their daughter, or, parents and their children. They have a trusting rapport. Like, it's there. But no matter what they do, they can't convince the other to see it their way. Like, how do we work within this environment where we're able to kind of build this better connection where people come together?
So that's a really good question, and I want to veer off a little bit before I go directly there. I want to say, so politics is an area that can stir up a lot of defensiveness. I want to throw out a couple others. Religion.
Yeah.
What are the things that are most uncomfortable for people to talk about if they're meeting new people? Politics, religion, sex. This is a really uncomfortable one for lots of people. Money. That's really uncomfortable. We're going to talk openly in detail about our financial situation. A lot of people, so I'm a counselor. I work with families, individuals, couples, and these are the most sensitive topics. And parenting. I want to throw out parenting because how we parent our children is a really sensitive topic. So fear can come up around any of these, and I'm putting out 5 topics: politics, religion, sex, money, finances, parenting our children. These are hot topics. And when we think about people being defensiveness, it's because fear is coming up around those topics. Is someone going to try to change my religious beliefs? Are they going to condemn my spirituality and tell me mine is wrong and theirs is right? Well, I'm going to be very defensive. My spirituality is very important to me. How about my sexuality? Are they going to challenge my sexuality? Are they going to want to know the details of my sexuality? Because that's very personal. It's none of their business. So I'm going to feel threatened if they invade that territory. Well, politics can be very personal as well, and people can be passionate about their politics. So I have a number of friends who are politically very different from me, religiously are very different from me, and the way they do parenting isn't identical, and some of them have lots of money and some don't have lots of money. And so if we can not feel threatened and behave in such a way that we're not creating threat in others, these don't have to be dividing factors. But if our skills at empathy, not understanding where someone else is coming from, inadvertently we can step on other people's toes and create fear, create distrust. And, in the line of work of the mental health field and counseling and psychology, it's about building trust. If there's not trust, people aren't going to open up and talk about the most painful parts of their lives. Well, in the animal welfare world, people talking about their pets, that's like their kids. Mm-hmm. This is one of the most sensitive areas. So if we're talking about a human's relationship with an animal that they have a significant bond to, they're going to feel really strongly, emotionally about that. And we need to, if we're working with people in animal welfare, understand this is a sensitive topic. They don't want to be told you're being a bad parent to your pet or friend or companion or however they view their relationship. That's a sensitive topic. So reframe the question if you can. I just wanted to throw out there's a bunch of areas that people can feel very threatened by.
I think we spend too much of our time and energy trying to convince people to think the same way we do. Right.
which is not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work. People are diverse. Everyone's brain is different. Your life experiences are so different from mine, and yet we can get along great if I don't need you to see the world exactly the way I do. If I need you to see the world exactly the way I do, we're going to have conflict and clashing immediately. It's not possible. We have a different experience in the world. Can we enjoy that? We go to see a movie to see something different.
Right.
We want something different. If we expect in the people we interact with for them to be identical to us, what a boring world that would be.
So really, to create the influence that you want, it's really finding the common ground that you have with someone. Build upon that, because we are more likely to change our opinions and minds if there's somebody that we highly respect, and you can't build the respect until you have that rapport.
Right.
And because there's a lot of passion. I was going to say one of the sixth one, I think now is diet.
Wonderful.
Right? Like
wonderful.
diet is a huge, especially in
Yes.
animal welfare. It's, do we eat meat? Do we not eat meat? And I'm not a big fan of, trying to think of the word, like in your face. You're a bad person if you do this, because I feel like all of a sudden, if you want walls to go up, yeah, that wall is up and you're not going to make a long-term impact. But you have organizations that have had that model for years. Right. And I mean, I don't know if there's been an impact in that model or not. I'm just not it's not the way that I operate. I don't believe it creates change.
I agree with you, Mandy. Hate is not what's going to change the world in a positive direction. Hate can impact the world. Hate can impact communities and people, but it's not in a positive direction. It creates a lot of wounding, and there's been enough wounding over thousands of years on this planet. I perceive that the world is moving towards much more healing and understanding and acceptance and tolerance of diversity. There's just, with the advent of the internet and people's kids' ability to play games with other children or adults from all over the world, from all different nationalities. I hear teenagers talking about they can't wait to go to this country to meet the people that they've been playing video games with, and they're communicating with people on the other side of the planet. It's just normal. It's common everyday behavior for them. So we have to be able to accept that people will have different experiences, and the world can be much more interesting with that.
Yeah, and you get to be around people that you may not be like them. You may not relate to them, but you learn so much. Your life becomes so much richer when you associate with people that don't fit within the bubble that you think everyone should fit in.
If I may use an example, and this is one that I'll use in counseling very often, my wife and I have chosen to live together and spend the rest of our lives together. It is our intention to grow old together, to be life companions, and so we must see a lot eye to eye, or else we wouldn't choose to live under the same roof. And we disagree all the time.
Yeah.
So if my best friend and I are going to have she thinks I'm totally crazy. I think she's nuts much of the time. So if these two best friends who choose to live together, travel together, share our finances together, share our sexuality together, share in all these ways, if we're going to have disagreements, how do we expect with anyone else it's going to be more agreement than with our spouses? And anyone out there in viewer land or listening land that's married understands exactly what I'm talking about, because that's the reality. So we're going to have these different perspectives and experiences. Can we be respectful, and can we be non-threatening to people who have a different perspective than we do? And that really boils down to our level of skill at understanding it's okay that not everyone is like me, and I don't have to feel threatened because someone doesn't see the world just the way I do. Now, if I'm going to feel threatened because they see the world differently than I do, then the best defense is a good offense, and I can become attacking, which is not going to create the relationship that has us working best together.
Yeah, and cuts off all of your influence and connection on moving forward.
And all that we have is influence because we can't control other people. We can't control other people's sense of spirituality and religion. We can't control that. We can influence someone maybe, but we can't control it.
Yeah, a lot of people, though, think that through punitive measures, you can control people. That's why there are laws being created every day trying to guide people down one road or another. Our
penal system is set up on punishment, and it has not worked, and it is widely understood from males and females. Democrats, Republicans, independents are agreeing that having lots of people locked up doesn't, unless you lock them up for the rest of life, doesn't enhance society greatly, because when they come out, just punishing them hasn't changed them. So if we want to influence people, punishment's not the way to go. And, hopefully our culture evolves away from a punitive system to a system where helping people actually make the changes that will serve them better to be happier in life. Again, I'm all for raising joy in socially responsible ways, and it's decreasing fear and anger and giving people tools to deal with emotions, to recognize emotions so that they can function better in the world. And therefore function better in relationships, so we don't have to mug and rob and beat people. That's not a good way to get along with folks.
No. I do think that when things are uncomfortable, it means that we're about to have good change, positive change.
I hear your optimism and I love it.
I think that, our world feels uncomfortable, and there's a lot of things that are happening, and it doesn't matter where you lie, politically, anything. I think everyone's kind of feeling this sense of uncomfortableness. And I think that it's kind of good. It's challenging the way we've been thinking, and hopefully in a growth point for all of us.
When there's enough discomfort, there is movement towards change to change the discomfort. And so, yes, if we look at the great movements in history, and I'm not a historian, but there is often that level of something's not working right. Necessity is the mother of invention. When things are not working well, people get really creative and figure out the light bulb or electricity or something to make it more comfortable. And so, yeah, we will keep working as a species. The humans are animals, but our brain capacity is so powerful. We're incredible inventors. And we will continue to invent ways of making the world better. And I talk with, folks who are older than I am, and they talk about what it was like when they were kids. And there were no refrigerators. You had ice blocks and sawdust, and that was your refrigerator. And, there was horses and buggies in this town. I talk to people who remember that. And we've made it a lot more comfortable.
And we'll complicated.
And it's complex. It's
yes.
A complex world.
Well, I appreciate you joining me today. It's always informational. It's always fun. And I'm sure we'll do this again.
This was quite fun, Mandy. As humans develop better skills at understanding each other, they can relate better with each other, and it becomes a lot easier to get along and have more joy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to People Are Animals Too, Darn It. You can send your questions or feedback to mandy@peopleareanimals2.com. MANDY@peopleareanimals2.com.